You guys will remember we've been keeping up with The Day Before. The Day Before is like this sort of zombie MMO game allegedly that's coming, but it's been very, very weird because time and time again, every chance they have to demonstrate that, for one, the game exists, and two, it's going to be worth buying and playing, they screw it up. They show stilted gameplay sequences that don't seem to look real or running in real time. It just seems really odd. And then they'll show segments where they say, this is a section of the game that we've had for a while, and we just decided to show it to you. And then people dig into it, and the assets used in that section of the game are from publicly available purchasable packs of assets, which is normal. But these packs were available for sale starting in December, meaning that they got them since December. So this has been something they've thrown together in the last 2 months. Really concerning and weird, right? And time and again, they keep making things weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder. They decided to post a dev vlog to try and prove that their studio is real. Now, here's the thing. If you are ever trying to make a product or sell something, and you are having to spend time working on like videos to prove that your company exists and has actual employees, something's gone horribly wrong. And in this case, something has gone horribly wrong. If The Day Before is an actual game that's real and legitimate, they have so thoroughly screwed up their marketing campaign that it's like honestly laughable. The fact that people are more convinced now that the game is fake and the company has volunteers and not actual employees and all this. It's very, very, very strange. And so but I mean, then again, it could be a real game and they want to prove that it's a real game. So they posted this dev vlog where they're going to show us some developers and prove to us that this is a real company. They are real employees and they are working on the game and they will have something to show us soon. Let's see if they can win us over.
Hi everyone, my name is Dana, and today we want to continue shedding light on the development process of The Day Before, our open-world MMO survival game set in a deadly post-pandemic America, overrun by flesh-hungry infected. It's one of the most anticipated games in the world. In this video, we will show you how we started the development of The Day.
To be clear, it's one of the most wish-listed games. I still don't really know how. At this point, I'd be more worried, or I'd be more likely to believe that this was like wish listed by bot accounts. I just don't know what people are seeing here. But more generally, this is one of the most widely mocked games in the world right now because it doesn't seem to be real. But let's see.
Before, all down from the beginning. There will be a lot of interesting materials to see, so make yourself comfortable and let's start. The development process of The Day Before started at the beginning of 2019. At the time, the game looked so...
I know TDB is supposed to be The Day Before, but I keep like misreading it as TBD, like the day or to be determined. And I know that's not what it says, but I guess my possibly dyslexic brain just has a brain fart every time I see it. And so I'm like, so... like they don't know what this is? Like, it breaks my brain.
So different that if you saw it today, you wouldn't be able to tell that this was actually The Day Before. The game had stylized, cartoonish graphics and handmade animations. The most distinctive feature of The Day Before back then was a winter setting with lots of snow, from which we gradually moved away. But even...
That's cool, though. That's cool. You're able to drive into buildings, kind of cartoony. I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, it's Fortnite-y. But like, it doesn't look bad. And the snow setting, the snow deformation stuff, I could see being fun. I don't know. But I mean, this is cool. They're showing what it used to look like and that they're making progress and it's changed. Okay. I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, so they have done previous stuff. Well, so this is one of those things where I've said it's important to be skeptical of Atomic Heart. It's important to be skeptical of this, of all of these games that come from developers with more iffy histories than something like a Rockstar, you know. And with like Atomic Heart, the company literally has never put out a game before. So it's worth being a little skeptical of. I think that makes a lot of sense. As for this game, these devs have made stuff before. They've put out games, but their history has been that they've put out games that they abandon within like a month or two. Even though they're online games, they abandon them, shut them down after trying to sell it to people, and they just move on to the next thing. And that's also very, very concerning. Yes, they've put games out before, but their history is that when something doesn't really click, they abandon it very quickly, which when you're trying to sell people on an MMO that they are supposed to spend like thousands of hours in, that's not super comforting, right? Like, yeah, so commit yourself to this game, pour hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, and we promise we won't shut the doors if the player numbers drop, even though that's what we've done literally every single time before. So there's reason to be concerned about these devs, first and foremost. Some of the other stuff we've seen with their inconsistency with messaging, with the fact that they forgot to trademark the game's name until like 5 weeks before the launch was supposed to happen. That's really weird because, again, remember their initial thought or their initial claim when they delayed the game in January was that the only reason they were doing it was because the game's name had been copyrighted by somebody else because they forgot to do it, basically. Already a huge concerning thing because this is allegedly like a multi-million-dollar production, and the fact that they forgot to do that shows major red flags in terms of competency. Like, I'm not a game dev. I've never worked in a game development studio, and I could have told you, like, day one, what's our game's name going to be? Okay, let's trademark that now so that we're good by the time the game comes out. And they didn't do it. Yeah, lawyer fees can be high. Yeah. Well, again, so I don't fully believe that, like, well, the whole thing's confusing. I believe at this point that they just don't know what they're doing. And so it kind of makes sense that maybe they forgot to copyright it and they just didn't think about it. I wouldn't put it past them because we've seen a lot of other broad incompetence. But their claim was, at that point, that that's why the game was delayed. They were saying effectively the game is ready for launch in 5 weeks. We just have to delay it because of this copyright thing. It's really unfortunate, but you know, the game's basically done. We just have to delay it because of this legal thing. And then after that, they show us a gameplay segment that was made in the last 2 months because the assets used in it were available for sale starting in December. So it was not like, are you telling me you threw these levels together that close to launch? That's weird. I mean, it can happen, sure, but I would hope that there'd be a little bit more refinement and polish, but whatever. What assets, like a collection of trucks and vehicles and houses, specifically like the houses you explore in that gameplay thing that they showed, like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. All of those houses were available in a pack of houses that were modeled, and it's not crazy. It's not like scandalous to have houses like that, you know, available for purchase and to put them in your game as a purchased asset. That happens a lot, but it's very concerning that that was done in the last 2 months. Meanwhile, they're saying the game is basically done already. So very, very weird. Oh no, I knocked it over. It rolled further back. Yeah, big ol' fat, juicy, girthy red flag.
From which we gradually moved away. But even then, we already had the foundation of our survival game. Your character had core stats such as hunger and energy, and you were able to loot every building on your way.
Honestly, the destructible fences and walls and gates and stuff, I actually really like. That could be fascinating, like you're running away from infected and the big brutes could push through it. That's cool.
Such as hunger and energy, and you were able to loot every building on your way, find and drive cars, deal with zombies, and interact with other players. This vision inspired us then and still inspires us to this day. But in 2020 came a moment when we decided to overcome ourselves and raise our standards, so that the day before was not only our dream project, but also a game that could win a place in the hearts of as many other people as possible.
See, now they're showing actual player names above them. This is something people were worried about. The trailers that they've shown recently haven't had any of this. Like they have zero UI or very, very minimalistic UI that makes it look like it's not actually running online with multiple players.
After this decision, we at Fantastic made a real internal breakthrough and totally transformed the day before. Thanks to the creative freedom that our publisher Moitona has given us, we were able to implement such a massive change to the day before as revamping the whole game's graphic style. In the course of 2020, our team made a massive effort to remake all visual parts of the game, including animations, sound and lighting design from scratch to make it more grounded and realistic. And it was the first time when we decided to enrich our game world by going beyond initial small settlements and making a big city with skyscrapers to explore. We knew that it was a very high goal that we considered unattainable, but without that risk, our dream was doomed to remain just a fantasy.
Real quick,
unattainable.
I love that the hotel's name is Milton instead of Hilton. I love that. That's great. A bold move. A bold move to completely change the art style. Mayhaps it was not the best choice. But I mean, then again, people have been allegedly very, very excited for this. So maybe, I guess it worked. I guess. I kind of preferred the more cartoony style, but then again, it looked like they had more game systems working in the cartoony style than in this style. But I guess if the game sucks, at least you could go and watch The Spirit of the Opera.
But without that risk, our dream was doomed to remain just a fantasy. At the same time, our team was constantly growing in numbers. We gained a lot of new experience, created additional departments, and even put together a small team to use our expertise in stylization and start developing Prop Night, which significantly increased our level of professionalism and allowed us at Fantastic to transform from a small local team into an international organization with a great vision and culture of volunteering. At first, we were still trying to preserve some glimpse of the stylized look, which you have partly seen in our first announcement with the great vision and culture of volunteering.
What the hell does that mean? A culture of volunteering? I seriously don't know what that means. What is that supposed to mean? Are they saying that, like, yeah, we put together an international team with a culture of people working for free? That's a really weird thing to toss in there. That's really, really weird. Like, if we take it on its, like, the thing, I don't know what a culture of volunteering is. If she says, yeah, we have a great team that's been volunteering. Okay, that's weird. Your employees are not employees. Your game is being made by volunteers. What? Okay. That's odd. But then she just says it. Possible mistranslation. I don't know. She works on their team. She's one of their employees. And she's like their marketing person, whatever. We're at 246. Her role is Fantastic Communications team member. And she sounds extremely fluent in English. I don't think that this is a mistranslation. I think she knows what that means. That's really weird. I've never heard a company describe their company as a culture of volunteers. Like if my boss, or if I were interviewing at a job and my boss said, yeah, we want to have a culture of volunteering. You know what that tells me as a potential employee? We're going to ask you to do a lot of stuff and not pay you. It sounds like a culture of volunteering if we turn the subtitle off. That's what it sounds like. That's why I went back and turned the subtitles on.
International organization with a great vision and culture of volunteering.
And culture of volunteering. And you also notice in here, the text is properly capitalized and then has commas and punctuation. YouTube's auto-generated subtitles almost never have that. Yeah, they've gone in here and they've added these. These are not auto-generated subtitles. English auto-generated and cultural volunteering. So even the auto-generated ones think that that's what it is, but these are hand-typed. So this isn't a mistranslation, I don't think.
At first, we were still trying to preserve some glimpse of the stylized look, which you have partly seen in our first announcement trailer, especially in the characters design, which was again completely changed as of today. But that release of the announcement trailer was a defining moment when we realized that the game was not only our dream, it became a dream of many people around the world. And ever since, we were not alone in our journey. Your tremendous support fueled our determination toward our shared dream to this day. We even have volunteers who have been helping us with our Discord server and Steam page ever since. Throughout the course of the development process, our standards are constantly getting higher. Changes have taken over all of our characters, including all their clothing and equipment.
So she's tossing in, again, volunteers. This time with like Discord mods. I don't have a problem with like mods being volunteers. You know, our mods here on the stream and on the Discord are technically volunteers. So of course I don't have a problem with people volunteering to support and help something that they're passionate about and excited for. That's fine. But when she keeps doubling down on volunteering, it makes me, let's see, Miss Gandia or Grandia, Luke doesn't know, which is fair. The CCP will have people practice an English statement over and over and over again, so they sound fluent even if they're not. This is classic CCP American pandering. OMG. I mean, maybe, but like either way, they still typed it out. Like these subtitles, the YouTube channel owner has to either specifically allow people, as basically giving them the role of an editor, to go in and change these subtitles, or they can open it up to everybody to submit and contribute to subtitles. But that's something they have to choose to do. You have to open that up. So like either way, it was typed out. Now, if the argument's going to be that this is a mistranslation with the volunteer thing, then okay. But are these other translations or other languages also going to reflect the word volunteer? Well, the equivalent of the word volunteer? I would guess probably. Because they're using it repeatedly. And I mean, what's the other... Like volunteer is pretty straightforward. What's the mistranslation of volunteer? Underpaid worker? Like students who don't get paid? Like employees are employees. I don't know how you mistranslate employees as volunteers. I really don't know how you do that. But they toss it in again, you know, saying we have this team of volunteers, which is fine, but it's starting to sound more and more like a huge element of this process and production is people that are not being compensated for this, which is just concerning because it's like, okay, well, is this a real company? Why not have like the game's director come on video and be like, yeah, I'm the guy that's directing this, or the girl that's directing this, and you just put the translated subtitles on. I don't care how socially awkward they are. Hidetaka Miyazaki is incredibly socially awkward. He's very, very like shy and quiet, but he goes up there and he'll talk about stuff and people love him to death. So I don't care how socially awkward the guy is. Yeah, because he doesn't exist, Luke? Yeah, that's probably why. I'm just like, I don't get why you wouldn't just show the team. Show somebody who's in a direct position of leadership within the game studio and just show it. Like, have them explain it.
To this day, we even have volunteers who have been helping us with our Discord server and Steam page ever since.
And one funny thing is when they announced the delay because of the trademark thing, some of these volunteers on the Discord server went viral because they posted to the Discord server, I'm starting to worry this game isn't real because none of the mods have even seen unedited gameplay. So we're starting to get worried. Like even these volunteers started to get really concerned about it.
Throughout the course of the development process, our standards are constantly getting higher. Changes have taken over all of our characters, including all their clothing and equipment, such as weapons and attachments. and all of our zombies, with both sides receiving a female version with another sets of animations that are now entirely recorded using motion capture. We needed to make our characters and zombies as human-like as possible, so we added a lot of additional and transitional animations, especially for the zombies, which have also received a realistic body dismemberment system. Besides the characters, we've also redesigned our vehicles and increased their number, because to this day the player's car remains a core aspect of the game. And of course, we've changed and
Did you hear the audio cut out?
The
audio track ran out, and instead of blending them together, they just kept the gap.
We've also redesigned our vehicles and increased their number, because to this day the player's car remains a core aspect of the game. And of course, we've changed and retextured hundreds of our buildings and nature and environment assets to reach the highest level of quality. Constant modification and improvement have affected other essential parts of the game, such as zombie AI, character control and shooting system, and many others. At the same time, a lot of work has been done to implement and improve other game mechanics. For example, character customization, trade system, quests, and the World Hub location, where other players can meet and trade. And of course, we did a massive job on the multiplayer part of the game, because everything we have listed so far should have worked without any issues on one game server.
Source? Trust me, bro.
Each new stage of development worked.
Everything we have in the game should work without any problems. It shouldn't be a should. It should be it will. Imagine like Steve Jobs getting out on stage, or like a Todd Howard getting up on stage, and he's like, you see all of this amazing detail, all of these systems, they should work. Instead of it just works, it should work. It's just amazing. I love it.
Job on the multiplayer part of the game, because everything we have listed so far should have worked.
No, not you can climb that. You should be able to climb that. You see the mountain. You should be able to climb that. You see that boss. You should be able to fight him. Oh, golly.
Without any issues on one game server. Each new stage of development comes with its own challenges, such as graphical optimization or the transition to Unreal Engine 5. But our team, as always, is not afraid of difficulties and constantly moves forward. All in all, we've been creating The Day Before for 4 years. It's been a long and exciting journey, and we believe that after the game's release, we'll give people faith that in this life, if you persevere toward a dream, it will come true despite all the obstacles and doubts in your path. Until then, we will continue doing our best to finalize the game and release it on the 10th of November. We're using the month we have to make The Day Before exactly the way we've always imagined it to be. During this time, we will give you more information about the game and its mechanics, such as a World Hub.
Okay, World Hub. This is what people were actually asking for. Like, when people said we want actual gameplay footage and stuff, show us that. This is what we've been hoping for and wanting. So like this is good. Okay, multiple players, World Hub, okay.
Quests, base building, character customization, player interaction, and so on. So stay tuned.
Okay, like these things, if they actually show this, I'm okay with this. Like my point with all of this has just been like, either the game doesn't exist and it's like they're throwing this together in real time trying to save it, or they have just one of the worst approaches to marketing materials and communicating what their game is that I've seen in a long time. Just totally incompetent. Like, to the fact where they've convinced people that their game doesn't exist. If the game actually does exist and it has pretty solid mechanics and a functioning world and all this stuff, if it actually is decent, like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, then just think of how horrible their marketing team is that they've managed to convince the world that that thing doesn't even exist. Because that seems to be the general consensus. It's unreal. Like, it's crazy how terrible they've managed this. So hopefully until November, they come out And they can continue showing stuff like this stuff they're saying they'll show and convince us and be like, no, look, so you talk with these players, you'll get quests that you need to complete. That's one of the things you do. Remember, I've said that, like, one of my questions is what the hell you do in this game. It's just not really clear. And all this stuff, like, it's just not clear. But this could be a first step towards that. And I'd be happy to be convinced. But they're going to have to do a good amount of work.
Sophie Ward donated £19.99 through Super Chat.
Oh, geez, thank you.
To go towards the Jack and Rose minifigures for Titanic. You're welcome, smiley face.
Thank you, Sophie. That's very, very generous. You didn't have to do that. And yes, Sophie sent me. She found a like 2 Lego minifigures that are Jack and Rose from Titanic, and she's like, you should get them for the Titanic set for the ship and put them on the ship together. And I was like, ooh, we totally could do that. And so that's what that's a reference to. So now I have to do it. Now I have to get them. So thank you, my friend. That's wonderful. Let's see. Luke, joke's on you. That was their plan the whole time. Yeah, maybe. Like, what I've been saying is skepticism is not about just being the cynical prick that knocks stuff down because it's kind of fun to knock stuff down. Skepticism is about not being convinced until there's adequate evidence to be convinced of that thing. In this case, if they come out and they present evidence that this game is actually real and good and worth playing, I'm down. I'll be convinced it's good and real, and I'll be down to play it, and I'll be excited about it. But until that point, I'm unconvinced. And in fact, in this case, there's a lot of evidence that points pretty negatively towards this game being a pile of steaming garbage. But if they present new evidence that changes that formula, then I'm down. Character customization, that's good. Dialogue with characters, call me Ed. If you want to survive, come to me. I have a wide range of weapons and stories.
And so on. So stay tuned. Thank you.
I'm down. But they have to win me over. Like, I don't start convinced. And this stuff, yeah, they're showing progress. This is their attempt to be like, listen, we've been working on this. It's not just been like something we were throwing together. We've been working on this for a while. Which, sure. Like, they clearly had a version of the game running when they announced it. And then they had a version of it running in these latest scenes. The concern is whether or not the actual body of the map and the world is actually done and ready to go. And no matter which way you spin it, they have lied. They said that they were delaying it because they ran into this copyright dispute. Okay. But then they come out and they say to IGN later, well, we were always planning on delaying it. This just happened to line up. So they withheld the truth of the reality of the situation to try and make it look like, oh, it's not our fault. We were going to put it out. We're the good guys. It's just the whole thing is really, really, really weird. Really weird. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep following it piece by piece. I would love it if this game ended up being like one of the greatest comebacks ever. Like, all of a sudden, everybody is convinced by the end of this that it's actually real and it looks really, really good. That would be awesome. I would love to have a new game to obsessively play. And that's something I think people maybe don't buy or don't believe. Like, no, you just want to hate on it. No, I would love to have a new game that's my obsession, that's really good. I would love to have a new multiplayer game that I can just get lost in. But I'm not going to like lie to myself or pretend that the game's actually really good when it looks terrible. I'm just not going to lie to myself like that. I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I'll hopefully I'll be convinced and they'll win me over. As of right now, I'm not sure if that will happen, but we shall see. He took my thing. Red flag, red flag.
16 times the detail.